good soup.
Game of Thrones Season 5, Episode 9, The Dance of Dragons. What did I say? What did the tweet say? Every episode, every moment, every scene of Game of Thrones reviewed.
You did say that.
I'm sick and tired of...
Tired of what?
People tweeting me.
Yeah.
Here they are.
Well, we are men of our word, and we said we'll do every episode, and we have 2 left because we just stopped after Hard Home, which we also said we would do. So either way, we could have covered our tracks pretty well.
Yeah, either way, but we decided to give you more.
Yep.
By taking away from our souls and putting it into this.
You can swear your allegiance to me now, or you can die.
The god has work to do.
If a man knows what he is, he must fulfill his destiny.
They're waiting for you.
And before we start our second to last revisited episode, we'd like to thank Skillshare for sponsoring this video. I've often referred to Skillshare as the Hogwarts of digital media. It's an online learning community for creators with more than 25,000 classes in design, business, and more. For online content creators like ourselves, Skillshare is great when we want to hone our skills in the softwares that we use, specifically Photoshop and Final Cut Pro. It's great for both seasoned creators and beginners. Skillshare offers a multitude of classes for people who are just starting their own YouTube channels or websites. And the real advantage of being a premium member is the quality of Skillshare's videos and tutorials. They have thousands of classes being taught by some of the most knowledgeable people in digital media. And right now, Skillshare is giving away a free 2-month unlimited access trial to the first 500 people who click the link in the description box below. And after that, it's only around $10 a month. It's so funny jumping into Season 8 and then forgetting where we left off with the Revisited, where the story was. But yeah, that was the last scene with Ramsay, right?
Yeah.
Him and Roose Bolton. And he burned Stannis' camp. He's stealth, man. He's stealth. He got in there. He was SEAL Team 6. Didn't even know what happened. They cut out. And Melisandre, did she sense it?
She
Yeah,
knew
right?
something was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hot. I don't know. The Lord of Light is trying to tell me something. Stannis is like, why aren't you bending this shit? Why do I even have you here? You can't control this?
Just kill my daughter later.
No, we'll take care of this.
Yeah. But yeah, Stannis, not too thrilled. Orders to have the Watchmen killed. I love when he says that. It's like either they were sleeping or they're conspiring with the enemy.
Find the truth and then hang them.
Yes.
I want to know which one it was, but either way, kill them.
Yes.
Davos is trying to caution him, saying we've lost too many men, we've lost horses, it's just not the right time. And this is what was happening in the previous episodes as well, where he's being pushed by Melisandre. He's being pushed by himself, really, because he's just falling into the delusion of, I have to do this now. There is no time to wait. I have sellswords, men who are not technically loyal to me. They're loyal to the dollar, so when's a better time than now?
Probably a couple months from now.
Maybe, but at that point, it's where does he even go? Do you just make camp for winter? Because at this point, winter is still coming, right? The seasons are about to change. You're kind of a lordless man. Where's his castle? Where does he even go? It's just kind of stranded.
You can always just go back to Dragonstone and call it a day, Just be like, sorry.
I tried.
Tommen's my king. I'm just going to live my life now.
Yeah. And this is one of my favorite moments of the show because it's one of those moments where you just get Alistair Thorne saying, open the gates, but the tension between them. Just seeing all the wildlings surrounding Jon, it reminds you what happened at Hardhome and what the effort was to get all these people here to safety. And this is a moment where Jon Snow thinks, this motherfucker's not going to open the door. And that whole week before, Alistair was like, I'm not opening the door.
Yeah.
I'm not opening the gate.
Like trying to act tough in front of all his boys.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if he comes back, what he says, who he's with. No way.
Giants, white, nope, not opening it. And he opens it. Visually, it's just a great shot. And it's also a testament to one of the accomplishments of Jon Snow. We've had that debate during Season 8. What is the purpose of Jon Snow being one of the chosen figures in the show? Well, here's one of them. It's bridging people together. It's preparing the North for the war that was to come. And Sam almost has to reassure the decision that he's made. And obviously it gets him killed doing the right thing. And he feels he's got a bit of survivor's guilt, thinking that he could have saved more.
Well, yeah, Sam basically tells him, look on the bright side, look at him, look at her, look at that child. You didn't fail them, and all these people are alive because of you and your sacrifice you made, and the ultimate sacrifice, as we find out next episode, even at that time.
Right. Yeah, it was. Because he does come back.
Yes.
But he's getting it from both sides. You can't necessarily trust the wildlings. You have to take a risk in saving them. And then you have the Night's Watch who are also glaring at him, judging him instantly. Even Ollie. This is when Ollie turns on him, that little shit.
Fuck Ollie.
And Alistair Thorne has a great line of, you have a good heart, Jon Snow. It will get us all killed. Which wasn't necessarily true. Jon was able to see the bigger picture, and it's always hard. They're always getting assassinated for trying to do the right thing.
You have a good heart, Jon Snow. It'll get us all killed.
And the final scene here between Stannis and Davos, the weirdest friendship in Westeros. Stannis gives him the command to go to Castle Black. He's always giving him these impossible tasks. Go to Castle Black and tell them to send everybody.
It's like, yeah, remember that thing you did at your fingers at the Iron Bank of Braavos?
Does Jon Snow know you?
Yes. Just do that to Jon. We'll see.
He's like, I already used that to get the last piece of toast at dinner. Fuck. You can only use that once, Davos.
Yeah, he has like a limited amount of times he can use that move, and he wasted a couple.
Yeah, he did. He's been wasting them on
So
minor
he really
things.
had to go to the bathroom, and he had to cut the line. So it's like, look at this.
Stannis is a man of justice. Like, all right, man, just go piss.
Who is that guy? No idea.
Yeah, and I love how this isn't a macho thing with Stannis, saying that his family stays with him, because Davos is trying to protect Selyse and Shireen, saying let them come with me to Castle Black, and Stannis is saying no, they stay with me. Not because I feel that I can best protect them, but I might have to sacrifice one of them. It's not necessarily about protection anymore.
Yeah.
He's just slowly losing it.
And just, I love the shot, too, of Stannis' army. Just, they look fucking miserable. I'd imagine being at war is bad enough, but being in the freezing cold, all your supplies are shot, you're waiting online for God knows what's in that soup or whatever they're eating, or what.
Yeah, you don't want to get the ingredients list for that.
And, yeah, they're just...
You see the Irish extra, too, right?
What?
The Irish extra?
Yeah.
The extra from the last night, or the last watch. Yeah. So he's been there he's been switching sides more than Shaq.
He just goes with the flow.
Yeah, right. No, he's that savvy vet that's been on every team. He's like Rasheed Wallace. You know?
Championship hunting.
Yeah, he 100%. He's a 6th, 7th man on the bench, veteran leadership in the locker room, and a final goodbye between Davos and Shireen. And it's such a sweet moment where he gives her the stag, and she says, "Why am I getting this present?" Davos is like, "Because you deserve it. Because you're a good kid. Because you told me to read.
Yeah,
thank you." And she's reading one of your favorite stories, The Dance of Dragons. Something you'd like to see in a spinoff, right?
Yeah. That would be awesome. She's kind of getting too far into spoilers, so Shireen maybe... I think that's why Stannis did it. She just kept spoiling Dance of Dragons for him.
Oh, she's like, this girl, I can't read any books.
He hasn't read...
She does really jump to the end.
Pages, yeah. Every time I see these scenes with Davos and Shireen, I'm just reminded of when he confronts Melisandre about...
She was good, she was kind,
yeah,
and you killed her.
It's just... It's always heartbreaking.
Well, he's kind of her father.
Yes.
He was always more of a father than Stannis ever was, because he was able to look past the ailment on her face. He just treated her like a normal human being, and that's what made Davos a fan favorite, that he did have that good heart. And yeah, it's really sad, especially, I still think this is the most brutal death, what happens to Shireen.
I'll be gone for a few days, Princess. I want to hear all about the Dance of Dragons when I'm back.
Read it yourself.
You know what I do love, and I say this a lot about this show, that I love things because I love a lot of it. This shot of Jaime walking in, I love these angles when it's looking up at the actor. And he talks to Doran. And one thing about Doran, even in the show that they got right, is that he is shrewd in the way that he politics. He knows how to play the game. He knows how to butter you up, and he's also a man of mercy. So I did appreciate him in this scene, because if more rulers were like him, then the world would be a better place. But what they missed out from in the book is that underneath all that, he is also neck deep in the game of politics in Westeros.
As far as like the Dornish storyline goes, I kind of like this scene. There's a lot there. But as I was watching it too, in the back of my mind, I'm like, especially when he did the toast to King Tommen, I'm like, oh yeah, he's putting up an act in front of Jaime. Season 6, we're gonna get into some fucking grand Dornish plan and stuff like that, but no.
Right, it would have been so much better because he's a good actor, the man who plays Prince Doran. But they just left that out, and we've talked about this before on the Revisited series, leaving out Arya, leaving out the Dornish master plan. It would have been another element to the show that made it more intriguing. It's the reason why we want Winds of Winter to come out so bad, all those storylines that weren't in the show that still need to be finished. And after Season 8, they definitely should have made more seasons to definitely get into the Arya subplot. Ellaria Martell, It seems like she's on her fifth or sixth chance here, and he just keeps letting her live. Pouring out the drink when they're toasting to Tommen, saying that you don't have a spine. That's fucked up.
No wonder you can't stand. You have no spine.
That was a messed up thing to say.
I don't know. Her character is not my favorite. Just like her philosophies on, you see her talking to Jaime later about, in Dorne, we don't look down on what you and your sister do and stuff like that. And as we see next episode, I believe, like, she kind of just contradicts all that. And obviously she's not going to come out and say, hey, I'm going to kill Marcella, but
it's a world of contradictions.
It's just everything like Oberyn stood for, and you got to know when it's time to get revenge and time to play the game. And I just felt like, especially with all like the book Dorne stuff, that this character, if you could have placed her in, she could have took on more of an Arya role. And if you weren't going to include that character, you could have kind of put that on her in some ways, and then they could have just got more into Dorne as a whole. Instead, it's just very surface level.
Yeah, the deals that they make, that Trystane is going to go back with Marcella. He'll sit on the small council. He never makes it to Westeros. To King's Landing, because he's killed, as is Marcella. And Jaime also negotiates for Bronn's freedom. And this is a scene, it's one of those scenes with the Sand Snakes. And it's so unfortunate for these actors because they're fine. And the characters could have been really, really interesting. But instead they gave them scenes like this where they're playing this slap game and the dialogue is kind of cheesy. And you just don't care. It means nothing. It's a scene to pass time, which is fine. They have those scenes in the show, but this one wasn't exceptionally clever.
The slap is a metaphor for justice, somehow.
Kung, kung, kung. And Bronn is freed by Arya Hota, and we have the line, who's the prettiest woman in all the world. People still say Jon Snow to this day. I don't know why he said Tyene. The only time Arya Hota gets to fight, huh? He elbows Bronn in the face.
Yeah, this is, it's funny. I like his little Duran's quick little quip. It's like, how about soup instead?
So, is that pie?
Yeah.
That's what Bronn says, right?
Yeah. Like, pie looks good.
Pie looks good. Bronn is awesome.
Pie looks good.
There was one condition.
Perhaps some soup instead.
And going to Essos, we have Arya going to kill the insurance man, the gambler, but she is distracted because she sees Meryn Trant, who is escorting Mace Tyrell into Braavos. And I'll tell you what, the scenes between Mace Tyrell and Mycroft Holmes are actually pretty funny to me.
He is such a fucking dope of a character.
He is. When he offers them the wine.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm afraid I don't partake. Oh.
He's like...
He's like a Simpsons character.
He's
in
got
Game
pipes,
of Thrones.
though.
Does he?
I like to think so. I like, too, when he's like, he's talking about how they're the best gamblers in the world.
Well, he was very profound in that moment.
Yeah.
It's actually good writing for
good.
Mace Tyrell.
Yeah.
The points he was making, that war makes men greedy and profits are to be made.
Well, not anymore. They got too cocky with their bets, and then it's like, yeah, this is Cersei.
Well, they fail sometimes, Yeah. They win some, lose some. It is ironic how in a couple of seasons they would be taking Mace Tyrell's gold.
Yeah. Oh, wow. It's a good catch by you.
Yeah, and Arya is distracted by Meryn Trant, obviously, and she doesn't kill the man, so she returns to the House of the Undying, and she tells him that the Thin Man wasn't hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And Jaqen has a great comeback there, too, so I guess that's why he's the Thin Man. Tomorrow, then.
Yeah.
But we know that Arya is not going to do that.
No, but she follows them to the brothel, and it's something where you want to establish that Meryn Trant is a bad guy, and you want Arya to kill him. And I guess it's been so long since they had that confrontation with Tyrion Farrell that they needed something else for the audience to like connect Arya and this man to. Not everyone is so up to date on their knowledge of the show, books, and that relationship. You could have maybe done something else, but they chose to go this route.
He looks evil. He's got one of those faces where it's like, yeah, if Arya kills him, I'm sure it was for a good reason. But then they just give him this extra reason. They could have given him something else. Mm-hmm. This isn't something that happens in the book, I don't think, because she doesn't. No, she kills the Night's Watch. Yeah, and the actor who plays Meryn Trant had said that this was the hardest scene that he ever filmed in his life, because I think you even see it on his face sometime at one point when they bring in the young girl, and Arya is right there and right in the middle of it.
And I guess it makes the brutal death he receives by the hands of Arya more satisfying, the way she absolutely just fucking gouges out his eyes and does all this stuff. If she were to do that and it's like, oh, that's the guy who killed Syrio, it might not have been I don't know, the connection. This is like something that just happened recently, and the audience is like, "Oh, fuck that guy! I want to see him get his eyes ripped out." And Arya obliges us.
And here we have Valeria Sand swearing her allegiance once again to the Dornish prince, Doran. And it's a good acting job. She's got the tears flowing. But the better scene is the next scene between Ilaria and Jaime when they're talking about how you can't control who you love and who you are. And it is a contradiction in a sense. But, I mean, people lie in this show all the time. But it's more steeped in Dornish culture that they're more progressive than the rest of the continent. So,
well, that's the thing, too. And she goes on about how, like, I know Myrcella had nothing to do with it, and you probably didn't either. It's like, well, no, he actually really didn't. And Myrcella, no, she had nothing to do with this at all. Kind of take your own advice and, don't kill her.
Yeah, she basically said to him, I know you two had nothing to do with this, but I'm going to hurt you two the most.
Yes.
So,
well, she's trying to hurt Cersei, I guess. Well,
yeah, of course.
There's other ways to go about it, but...
Well, the war route, it's so funny in the show that a lot of the wars are just personal problems that families have had.
Yeah.
We killed one member of your family, so now tens of thousands of people need to die because we're upset, because we want vengeance. It's a ridiculous thing. You would think, let's hire a faceless assassin to kill Cersei. That would probably be better.
Well, you can say that about anything.
Yeah, the faceless assassins have become... they're like the Eagles in Lord of the Rings. It's like, why didn't they just use them for this? I hope it's an ungodly amount of money. Like they only get like 3 clients a year, but that's enough for them to keep the ACs on. You know what? After season 8, when I look back on Jaime now, this guy just might be a dope.
He's the dumbest Lannister.
He might be. Not only is he the dumbest Lannister, he might just be genuinely stupid. Because that stupid look on his face is starting to piss me off because of how his character ended in season 8. Previously I thought he was learning something. Yeah. When characters would tell him something profound and wise, and that he was taking it to heart and he was processing it and building it into his own character. Nope. Right over the head.
It's like every time somebody says that they know about him and Cersei, he's like, wow. I was so careful.
He's just a dope. He's a lovable dope.
Yeah, lovable dope.
But the way that his character ended with the bricks, it's like he got killed by a bunch of bricks. The new perspective of season 8. I'll talk about a heartbreaking scene once again. Stannis and Shireen, they had the great scene earlier in the season when Stannis reassures her that she is his daughter. And she's telling him, once again, spoiling Dance of Dragons, no concern. No consideration. And Stannis, this is the delusion on full display. The episode before he dies, the way he talks about destiny and that a man must become what he was born to be. And Shireen gets worried. She's like, Father, it's going to be okay.
Yeah, he's trying to rationalize his decision that he's already made in his mind. And he's just trying to, I guess...
get Shireen on board with it by not telling her.
She's like, I'll help. You want me to, shovel some snow, gather some firewood.
Yeah, other stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah, firewood. Yeah, get a lot of firewood.
And shovel out like a pit.
Yeah,
where I can stack the firewood.
Yeah, where I could stack it. A rope.
That's morbid now. One. Now it's like he didn't only just kill his daughter, but in our scenario, she basically
she
dug
did
her own
all
grave.
The work. Yeah,
grave.
He's like, well, if you couldn't figure out what you were doing, I mean, you're not that smart. Okay. But the heartbreaking line here is when she says, I'm Princess Shireen of House Baratheon. I'm your daughter.
I'm the Princess Shireen of House Baratheon, and I'm your daughter.
Because that's the line that he says to her.
Because you did not belong across the world with the bloody stone man. You are the Princess Shireen of House Baratheon. And you are my daughter.
I don't know how that doesn't convince him not to do it. Mm-hmm. She just used your own line against you. That's a trump card. You lost. She stays alive. But he flipped that in a way in his own mind, thinking, yeah, she's down to die.
Can't just cut off a left arm?
Yeah, get the leeches.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't watch the scene. I fast forwarded it.
You know what I did? I went on my phone and just went on Twitter.
Yeah.
I didn't fast forward it, but it's that scream, when that scream goes out, because that gets to a high pitch, man, where she's wailing. It's and then it just snuffs out. It's a good Shireen impression, right?
Yeah.
Even Selyse in the moment is trying to justify it, telling Stannis this is the only way. And once she starts to see her daughter,
it's like, yeah, now she loves her.
keep that same energy, like you said in season 4.
Every time she opened her mouth about Shireen, I'm like, yep, keep that same energy. And she didn't.
No, she didn't. It's tragic what happens to her, too. She kills herself in the next episode. And that shot of Melisandre when the fire consumed Shireen entirely and she's smiling. It's one of the most complex characters in the show. We always say it, that some of it was a lust for power, obviously, because when people are in these positions, they'll do things that are considered crazy. She was somewhat fanatical. Not somewhat, but very much fanatical. But she had noble reasons, and she's one of the characters that got a great end in Season 8. You can have your problems with the episode. You can have a problem with how quickly the White Walkers were defeated. But the way the sacrifices that she made, she had a pretty great ending. This is probably her darkest moment. She's a typical Game of Thrones fucked up character.
But she saved Jon, so.
Yeah, she did. And go into the fighting pits of Meereen. The Roman Colosseum, back open for business. And, you know, this is like insane that people used to do this, right?
Definitely insane. You just threw people in a pit and told them to kill each other.
Yeah. I think you made this point, too, that everybody goes to the same tailor.
Yeah.
And Meereen.
Yeah.
They've all got the same 3 fits.
Fresh.
They are fresh.
They broke, right?
Nope.
Yeah, and you could really see how, like, killing innocent people bothers Dany in this scene.
Oh, yeah, she just can't have this.
No.
It's like killing people that have nothing to do, that are complete innocents, that are civilians, that are not soldiers.
Well, this is actually a very interesting scene.
In hindsight.
Yeah, from Season 8. We got a different perspective on how I view, like, the dialogue here, but Dario just absolutely fucking straight bullying Lorak in front of Daenerys. Like, doing the knife thing, and he's doing all the moves, and just talking about how, you know, and then she hops on, too. It's like, oh, were you ever trying to kill a man that's trying to kill you? No.
But Lorak is saying, Lorak, I love how we call him that now. You know, the bigger man always triumphs over the smaller man. Mm-hmm. And then Lorak, at least he gets that win before he dies.
Yes, you could die peacefully. Having a #1 platinum album, no features, and having that win over Dario.
No, he did have one feature.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, Podrick, but he was uncredited.
Okay.
Because at that point, nobody knew he could sing. But the conversations here between all 3 of them, Lorak, Tyrion, and Daenerys, when Daenerys, she's pushing back again against the traditions of Meereen, saying that one day your city will return to the dirt. And Lorak says, I keep laughing every time I call him Lorak. He's like, oh, you're going to put the city in the dirt? And she's like, yeah, if I have to, bitch. Yeah. So it's a great moment of foreshadowing there for what she is going to one day do. But Tyrion has a line, too, saying that Tywin would have loved Lorak because he has that whole speech about how one day we will return to the ground, but Meereen will still be standing. Mm-hmm. Which rings very true. Because Daenerys Targaryen, her life gets cut short before she can achieve anything in Westeros, at least.
There's a couple of quotes that kind of got me connected into Season 8. He says, necessary conditions for greatness.
Yes. Which
is something that, you know, that's maybe what Daenerys was thinking in that time. Like, this is necessary for me to take control. And she kind of uses that to justify it to Jon as well. And he kind of plays both sides because he says something like that, but then says, when she's talking about, you know, if it comes to that, then they would have died for a good reason. And he said, well, why is your reasoning better than anyone else's? But it's kind of like he's playing both sides there because he kind of contradicted the previous statement because necessary conditions, that would be for greatness, that would kind of be the same thing. Yeah. And Daenerys is kind of playing off that. So it's a couple things where...
Well, it goes to the line that she said to Jon, too, about that regular people won't get to choose.
Yeah.
That I choose what is right for everybody. And that's what Lorak is kind of asking her here, saying, you know their minds better than they do? That you're going to decide that it's a good reason rather than the reason of them fighting for glory, fighting for their freedom in the fighting pits? It's interesting. And Tyrion is showing once again how he doesn't have the capacity for violence like most people in this world. That if he can avoid it in his leisure time, like he says, that he will.
Yeah.
So it's once again, even though Daenerys and Tyrion are on the same side in this moment, you know that rift is coming because we've seen Season 8. And you know what's also another point I wanted to make is knowing what she does in Season 8, it really doesn't take away from her exploits in the earlier seasons. No. Going back and watching these, this is Daenerys.
Kind of in jest. I don't think she's seriously in that moment was like, yeah, I'm going to burn down Meereen. But it's just, and obviously they're talking about fighting pits rather than, but it's the same principle applied to what happens in King's Landing. And I think that, you know, this could have been a good building block, but if we just got a little bit more development in Season 8, then you could go back to this and be like, look, this was already, the seeds have been planted, in her mind at least, even though here she's not serious, but
Well, this is the argument that people make, that foreshadowing is not character development or character building, because this is a moment that gets completely overshadowed by Drogon and Jorah in about 2 minutes, that you don't remember these conversations. We do, but as a member of the general audience or a casual fan, not even the casual fans, you just have these sporadic scenes where they're talking about their philosophies. That's not enough because, like you said, it's not a building block. It's kind of just a room that they enter and then they leave, and then they don't get back to until a couple of seasons later. So but the point that I was making too about knowing what she did is that I thought maybe it would almost hurt my experience going back in the show because I can only see her as somebody that destroyed a city. It almost makes what happened in season 8 better. That even though I still don't love how they got there, but knowing that's where her character ends up, it almost makes it more fun to watch. I don't know did you feel that way? It just makes her so complex. She has become the most complex character in the show by far.
well, you're kind of looking for little things.
Yeah.
I haven't rewatched the series from the beginning, but when I do, I'll probably try to keep an eye open and try to, that's a clue, that's an example. But you can have all those examples. I just think my problem with the Daenerys character in season 8 is that we should have got a little bit more development in that season, from point A to point B. Point A being when Missandei dies, and from her deciding to burn the city.
Yes, agreed. And Jorah returns. Jorah, you just can't kick him in. He's the crazy ex-boyfriend. At this point, it's weird. I don't want to see you die for me. Just leave.
Crazy ex-boyfriend.
It's over.
Crazy ex-brother figure.
Yeah, crazy ex-father figure, really. Somebody that, and then she claps. She gives the clap. She says, "Okay, you want to fight?" And she's giving him something here. It's a weird olive branch. It's a rose branch almost. I guess it's a rose stem filled with horns. It's like, yeah, let's see if you survive, and maybe you get your job back. And I the fighting choreography here is fine. I hate these moments in movies when a character can clearly be killed,
Yes.
but everything stops because they need to look and stare at each other. And then the guy with the spear has to look up and say, "Oh, you know him? Oh, I'm going to kill him." And then he gets killed by some random... It was kind of stupid.
That always happens, though. I kind of like how they got they have all these different fighters and
Yeah,
styles.
Smash Brothers.
Yeah, that's what it was. So that's always neat. Say it solves the old debate, who would win in a fight, Westerosi Knight or
Guy with spear?
Yeah, I don't even know who that guy was.
Yeah, he doesn't have a cool name.
No.
He was going off, though.
Yeah, they all were. Even
Yeah.
the Braavosi, he was slick with his little water dancing. It's like, yeah, I know what that is.
And Daenerys, when the fighting is over and Jorah picks up that spear, in that moment she's thinking, wow, he played me. Job well done. I thought this whole time you just wanted to get your job back. You've been trying to kill me.
No, but that's a fucking spot. He's like, oh, shit.
That was a frozen rope, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a spot, and then, you're still risking it,
Yeah.
right? You're just thrown in the middle of a crowd. Absolute dot. Laser beam, and then we get the ha.
A seed, if you will.
But they start their attack, and it's different in the book because they also try to kill Daenerys. They start their attack, and then Drogon comes and just starts murdering everybody. Not necessarily the Sons of the Harpy, he's just murdering everybody.
I mean, there's so much more, with the Harpies and Sons of the Harpy, who's controlling them, Green Grace, and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Here, it's just they're not happy with her decisions as queen, and they're going to just try to kill everybody.
Yeah. So that was kind of watered down. Tyrion isn't even in her camp at this point.
No.
He performs, and she actually saves his life because they had him being chased around by a lion, him and Penny. And then she stops that. Lorak gets stabbed, so stabbed 9 times. Didn't survive. Although I didn't see a body. He might still be alive.
God.
But even when Tyrion has to fight, he's got the knife, he's cutting people's throats, and Jorah comes up, says, "Give me your hand," Daenerys gives it, and they're all running around, and it's chaos, and Big Daddy D comes. It's a great hero moment.
What a name. No, I like the scene. It's very, like you said, chaotic. I knew what was going to happen going into it, but just seeing it play out, and you have different dynamics, like you said, with Tyrion, and then you have him protecting Missandei, and then you have, them kind of being circled in upon each other, and everyone's trying to protect Daenerys, and Drogon comes in for the last second.
Well, I think everybody kind of knew that Drogon was going to come.
Yeah.
But it's one of those obvious moments where it's so deserved because the way that they kind of treat the dragons like the White Walkers. When I try to get people interested in the show who don't like fantasy, I tell them, listen, it takes 5 years for the dragons to do basically anything.
Yeah.
I mean, they fought in 3 battles, I think, total.
They're an idea for the most part.
Exactly, right. It's when they get bigger, they're going to do some fucked up things. And we do see it at times, obviously, in the very second to last episode. One completely decimates a city. But this is a moment where you can have Drogon come and save the day. It's almost like Daenerys was calling for him in that moment when she closes her eyes and he comes out of the sky. It's incredibly cinematic. It's almost like he came out of that ball of fire and he's on the ground. He's burning people. He's lighting people up.
He's getting marked up a little.
He was a couple licks, man.
Yeah.
Couple licks.
And
Daenerys is like a concerned dog owner. You know, when you see, she's like, Drogon. And then he screamed on her. He screamed on her for like 7 seconds. It's like, you don't realize.
I'll save you now, but I'm still mad at you.
Yeah.
But yeah, she hops on. She gets to fly away. And
Doesn't look good. The CGI here.
No, but it's
cool though.
You could forgive it for the moment and just it being television, but that's crazy though.
It's crazy how much better it's gotten in 4 years.
And there have been shots of the dragons prior to this, but I think they were just trying to figure out like she's getting on, and you have the backdrop, and
it looks the one shot is the side angle.
Yes, when she's flying around in the middle of the Coliseum, and you see the background.
Clearly a green screen.
Yeah,
she's clearly on something that's not a dragon. It's gotten much better, but you can forgive it because once Daenerys hatches those dragons, you think it to yourself, she's gonna ride one of those dragons one day, just like Aegon the Conqueror before. She became a dragon rider in this moment, and for the lore, for the mythology of the character, it's awesome.
Yeah, and obviously, I don't think Shireen's stories about the Dance of Dragons, that wasn't a mistake. That was obviously just connecting the dots to Daenerys for a little bit, and
I love how she just leaves. So Drogon maybe killed, like 10 of them? And she's like, well, okay, guys, you handle the rest. And, yeah, she pieces. She dips.
Interesting, too. I mean, just talking about, like, the Dance of Dragons, this is Daenerys' first time riding a dragon, and obviously they had some groundwork for an eventual change in Daenerys' character, which led to a smaller type of Dance with Dragons, a more personal Jon versus Daenerys. So
yeah, and it's one of those episodes that the end of season 5, these last 3 episodes are really great. It's a very strong finish to the season. So season 5, when you're looking back on it, you can almost forgive it more because it doesn't leave a bad taste in your mouth at the end. Especially when you were watching it while it was going on with Jon Snow dying and this moment happening with Daenerys and the Dothraki. It's a great cliffhanger, and this was it was a very good episode of Game of Thrones. I would give this probably it's like a 9 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. You kind of get like a mixed bag. You have this heroic moment with Daenerys finally getting on the dragon, something you've wanted to see, and then you have stuff like, you know, Stannis burning Shireen and the Meereen Trance stuff. But all in all, there's like a lot of big stuff. Like, it's hard to be like, oh wow, when Shireen died, that was, remember that episode? That was a good episode. But it's it's something where it kind of plays out. It's necessary for the story, and you can kind of appreciate the aspects with Davos and Shireen, Stannis and Shireen, Stannis and Melisandre, and just all those dynamics coming together for that moment.
So when are we reviewing the finale? September?
Just get it over with, huh?
We'll see you in 3 months, guys.